In fact, I didn't like a lot of stand-up comedy I'd seen either. Like I really didn't get into Carlin or Pryor or any of that. So I kind of written it off until I saw Gary Shandling put out Alone in Vegas. He completed my Jedi training. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Someone told me I look like a cross between David Brenner and Jimmy Carter. Yeah, those are ugly people. I think it's important to come up with the right stage name if you're a magician too. Because I'm telling you, the astonishing Moskowitz or Kornbluth, the Impervious, that's just not going to put butts in the seats, you know.
You find yourself laying on a bed of nails with a cement truck rolling over you and surviving somehow. And then you have to find a dry cleaner so you can get tire tracks out of a tuxedo.
That's tough. People are still going to drive to work, whether it's $4 or $5 a gallon. They'll just bitch a lot, right? Because nothing's going to stop them from driving every day. Hence the phrase, can you believe what they're charging for blowjobs these days? Benny Hill.
Oh yeah, she would leave Benny Hill on.
Well, Benny Hill, you got to see tits.
But that was it. I was like, somewhere the whole
That was
thing
enough.
was somebody's clothes fell off.
That was enough.
Pants fell off. I was like, this is funny.
God damn it, we have 3 channels. It was 1981. I wanted some tits.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.
After a very sniffly live stream, you're back with the actual show.
Yeah, you know what? I had just like Flonase my nose this morning. I think it finally kicked in.
Mm.
That stuff's great, but it always gives me one huge sneezing fit.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to abandon live stream.
Oh my God.
I couldn't speak. You couldn't stop sneezing. I'm like, this is not entertainment. You know, so
Horrible.
anyway, so I was thinking about magicians, being a professional magician the other day. I think it takes a special personality to want to be one. It's a combination of needing to show off, needing to deceive people, wear a cape, and play with your balls a lot and your cups.
You know, there's a geeky sort of dedication in their background. While everyone else is out chasing girls and drinking beer, these guys are home, pouring milk into hats, clanging steel rings, and accidentally setting the house on fire. I think it takes patient parents as well. Their kid constantly asking for more rabbits and doves and continually pleading, please lock me in this milk can.
That's unusual. I wonder what a classified ad would be like for female magic assistants. Must have great complexion, nice legs, comfortable with being tied up, blindfolded, nearly impaled, hopefully temporarily, disappeared and or sawed in half. The ability to fit inside a 3x3 box for long periods of time is a plus. No claustrophobics.
You know, I remember watching this documentary about real life magicians a few years ago. And there was this part when this dude was doing a bunch of tricks at a corporate gig and he just blew it.
Oh, I saw that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
No, that isn't my card at all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
10 minutes after the gig, he was slamming his steel rings around, white gloves thrown in the air, decks of cards falling out of his coat.
It's tough stuff. I mean, the thing is, there's so much pressure. It's not like comedy where if you have one, nobody laughs, you got 20 more you can pull out. I mean, if you don't make that dude's Rolex reappear, it's the breadline and will astound for food signs, you know.
Crazy. You know, but it's funny. You know, talk about making stuff disappear. The women at my office can make an entire pizza disappear and turn into a pizza baby poof, in just under 15 minutes.
Heifers.
Modern magicians like Chris Angel and David Blaine, man, hats off to these guys. Problem is, you have to keep topping yourself until the tricks border on ridiculous. It starts off with little things, you know, turning juice into birdies, straight jackets and levitating women. But eventually you find yourself laying on a bed of nails with a cement truck rolling over you and surviving somehow. And then you have to find a dry cleaner so you can get tire tracks out of a tuxedo.
That's tough. Yeah.
And the prop costs are considerably more when making a jet plane vanish. I noticed the elite like to be called illusionist, not just mere magician, which seems closer to warlock status.
Mm.
Did you see the Chris Angel where he locked himself in a tank of water in like the middle of New York City?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah.
It was horrible. He had to like starve himself for a day before so he wouldn't have to use the bathroom. lock himself in a see-through container underwater. Now, he did have some kind of breathing apparatus, of course, but then after 24 hours, he had to escape, which he did from this thing after being weak from hunger, food. And when they finally pulled him out of that thing, his skin had reacted to the water. It was wrinkly, it was all misshapen, and he had actually had to take him, ironically enough, to the hospital for dehydration because I guess he wasn't drinking any of the water. It was crazy. Who comes up with this shit?
Chris, why not join your father's accounting firm? I think it's important to come up with the right stage name if you're a magician too. Because I'm telling you, the astonishing Moskowitz or Kornbluth, the Impervious, that's just not going to put butts in the seats, you know.
Chris Angel went with Mind Freak.
Okay.
Kind of subtracts a level of nerdiness, adds an air of the supernatural.
Yeah, Lipschitz just doesn't cut it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you had a different major than I did, but when I was in school, I took both for business. I took both microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay. And I passed both classes, but I couldn't explain a goddamn thing they talked about in either class as soon as it was over. They were like core classes for business majors. So freshman year, the lecture halls were huge and they were packed with like 80 people in this giant lecture hall. We hadn't begun to weed out the bad elements yet. So I remember there were a bunch of dumb jocks in microeconomics class sitting towards the front. I remember this because the teacher would talk sports with them. And he announced like when the midterm was going to be, and all the boneheads said, Mr. Williams, that's the day after the Duke Maryland game. And they actually expected he was going to be, oh, my mistake. And I don't want to let education get in the way of college hoop, you know.
And beer.
I remember him droning on about the concept of inelastic versus elastic demand. I'm getting sleepy just thinking about it. I need some coffee. Anyway, we're not talking about sweatpants here, people.
Elastic products are items where people are very sensitive to price. They raise the price on seafood and people are like, fuck that, I'm eating chicken.
Right.
You know, this is why I'm confounded. Where people will pay twice as much for liquid death versus LaCroix or bubbly.
Right.
Because you want people to think that you're drinking a beer. Or kind of that, hey, I can drink water and still be bad to the bone. I guess when you look up, it's like, do I want a water that seems so boring? Or I could have liquid death, which is actually still water. The whole company seems like it's built on lying or some image manipulation. Maybe they're magicians.
That's why I want to drink my hot cocoa out of a tankard from 1832. I mean, whatever, you know. Now, inelastic products, they do not see a big shift in demand when the price changes. So, for example, gas. People are still going to drive to work, whether it's $4 or $5 a gallon. They'll just bitch a lot, right? Because nothing's going to stop them from driving every day. Hence the phrase, can you believe what they're charging for blowjobs these days? We've all heard that one.
Yeah. I think, once gas prices are on the rise, there will definitely be a surge in roller skate by shootings. Fuck it. We're rolling.
It could happen.
Keep it rolling.
It could happen.
Although, once I had an Uber Eats delivery, and it actually said when the driver information came through on my phone, the guy was bringing my pizza on a bicycle. I'm not sure how you hold on to handlebars, operate the horn, the bell, and juggle a pizza box.
In my opinion, and again, having passed both classes, I don't think anyone really understands economics at all. The smart people just like to write articles and blogs and newspapers to keep us all confused. How does the price of glazed ham affect the Dow Jones? What about Biden's new policy on paperclip distribution? Is this going to make interest rates go up? Is the dollar weakening? Should I be bullish on silver? Blah, blah, blah. Who cares?
Stagflation is what happens when the inflation rate is high or increasing. The economic growth rate slows and unemployment remains steadily high.
And the price of blowjobs goes way up.
What a great name for a death metal band. Tonight, Stagflation with Cannibal Corpse and Deicide.
I like it. I'm ready.
Maybe with opener Voodoo Economics.
I'm ready for tickets, yeah.
Our feature interview this week is with two Ottos, vocalist Otto Luotonen and drummer Otto Itkonen of the Finnish crossover band Forca Macabra. We teased the vinyl last week, and this week we get out all the deets on how a band in Finland survives 30 years as a tribute to Brazilian punk and metal. So stay tuned for that.
Okay, this is from their 25th anniversary compilation. The song is called Meadow Passado. Okay, let's talk about Patreon. The site is patreon.com/Snaggletooth Podcast. And for $6.66 a month, you get a flaming 747 headed for its doom full of Mark and Stace.
We have lots of music reviews up there. If you'll notice, the stuff we review for the show is things we have handpicked, so it's stuff that we already like. Patreon, we have other things. Some we like, some we do not like.
Right. And we're going to continue this week with Thin Lizzy reviews. I think I might throw out something from the Snowy White era. So if you want to see what we think of the Snowy White era of Thin Lizzy, you'll just have to log into Patreon and check it out.
Less than you spend at Dunkin' Donuts, I guarantee it. And by supporting the show, you help support the underground music that we promote, see, and buy shirts and other things.
Exactly. So great. Okay. So I'm sometimes asked, where do we get such a demented sense of humor? Well, it's taken years to develop, and I think full disclosure is in order. So going back to when I was a kid, I don't think I was much older than a toddler when I probably started watching cartoons. And I would watch anything, Pink Panther, Tom and Jerry, whatever. But of all the options available on the 3 channels we had, 4 if you count UHF, Looney Tunes really took hold of my developing brain.
You could get 45 if you leaned on the antenna to the right.
Yeah.
On foil.
Foil, yeah.
It really was ahead of its time. The writing was incredible. It seemed like the really old ones from the 40s and 50s were the gems. We were too young to realize these were being made during the Truman era, and color TV had barely been invented. Bugs Bunny fascinated me. He was unflappable in the most ridiculous situations. Elmer Fudd aiming that shotgun right in his face. Marvin the Martian plotting to blow up the planet right in front of him. Even more obscure ones like the mob dudes Rocky and Bugsy. Nothing fazed Bugs. Plus, he was never afraid to get in drag if need be.
Sure.
He'd be a transgender hero by today's standards. A little lipstick and a wig was enough to fool every character that literally had just saw him seconds ago. He's wandering through a haunted castle 1 minute and giving the monster a manicure the next.
If an interesting monster can't have an interesting hairdo, then I don't know what the world is coming to. Bobby pins, please. Now, it's hard to pick a favorite, obviously, but if I had to narrow it down, I really thought about it this week. I'd have to say the one where he does the bullfighting. It's interesting. When he first pops up out of the hole, he actually mentions he was trying to go to Coachella. He says something about Coachella Festival, 4 days of music and fun. How long has the Coachella Festival been around? Anyway. So he pops out and he's in the middle of a bull ring. I'll tell you what, for a rabbit with no discernible means of procuring anything, he sure is pretty good at pulling an anvil out of nowhere, which of course the bull hits headlong. The bull ends up with a slingshot, boulder to the head. He swallows a shotgun and other zany occurrences. And the phrases were just golden. Of course, you realize this means war. What a gullible. What a nincompoop. I mean, if I uttered it once, I said it 1,000 times. Daffy was even funnier. There's just one from like 1956. It's a spoof on Sherlock Holmes. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen to this day, right? So Porky Pig as Watson is the narrator, right? And Daffy tries all of this jujitsu and karate to get the bad guy, the Shropshire Slasher. But no matter what he does, he just gets his ass kicked, right? Porky just walks up to the guy and says,
Now look, old boy, how's about returning to prison? There's a good chap.
Yes, sir. I want to do what's right, I do.
Genius. All right, Watson, enough of your bumbling.
Yosemite Sam was great too. Afflicted with a Napoleon complex, a desperate need of anger management classes, and also a hair trigger, quite literally. Even teamed up with Elmer Fudd, and Bugs would manipulate them into shooting each other's face off, falling off a cliff. Even though Elmer is far more prone to fall for the same shtick twice in a row. But somehow, even he pulls off getting Yosemite Sam to singe those red eyebrows off. Although I just don't think my favorite was that witch one where he's in Bugs is trapped
Hansel?
with the witch and the vampire, and he's going through singing Hocus Pocus, but he keeps changing the words around the Pocus Macabra, and the whole time he's casting spells unknowingly, and they're turning into all kinds of things. And as they're creeping up with a pot, they turn into a spider, and it falls on them and squishes them. Love it.
Abracadabra.
But I honestly did think that coyotes did nothing but chase roadrunners all day. And I honestly thought roadrunners said beep beep and were purple, and I was kind of sad when I saw a real roadrunner. They look nothing like the drawn roadrunner. They're brown and bold.
Disappointing. Yeah.
But how ironic is it that Amazon has become the new Acme? He dropped an order in for a bat cape or Acme snowmaking machine or one of those handy dandy holes you could throw up and make a train go through. So he throw his order into the mailbox and they deliver it 10 seconds later. The same thing happens now when we order a cell phone charger or surge protectors from Amazon. 2 hours later, they're at the door.
No.
Heck, I even ordered that cream for you, and they delivered it at 5:20 in the morning to set our doorbell cab.
How crazy is that Looney Tunes was so ahead of their time that they imagined Amazon? Yeah.
So I think up next, and we're talking early 80s, I was about 9 or 10, the Zucker brothers came out with the movie Airplane,
Oh my God.
which is still one of the primary colors of comedy as far as I'm concerned. Despite the fact I hadn't seen a single disaster movie it was poking fun at,
Me either. No.
I was awestruck at the incredible joke density of that film.
It was like, this might be the only chance we have to make a film. We have to pack in every joke we can. From the very beginning, like it starts off, they're rolling the credits. You're like 10 seconds in, 2 airport employees are on the intercom, and they're talking about which zone is for loading and which zone is for parking, the red zone or the white zone. Finally, the woman gets frustrated and says, I know what this is about, Ted. You want me to have an abortion. We haven't even gotten through like the first opening credits. How about the flashback to the first time Stryker meets Elaine at the disco bar? It's like, it was a rough place. You could count on a fight breaking out every night. And then it shows one Girl Scout catches another with an ace up her sleeve as they're playing cards. They just start decking each other, rolling around the floor. I love that shit.
You could count on a fight breaking out almost every night.
Police Squad, Top Secret, the Zuckers were the bomb. Yeah. I mean, there are a few other things that I really like the movie Arthur with Dudley Moore and Johnny Dangerously with Michael Keaton. But the real icing on the cake came in high school when MTV started airing Monty Python's Flying Circus at night. And we started taping it at night. We were blown away. This was the highest octane comedy I'd ever seen.
The Olympic hide and seek competition. Gun goes off, and one guy immediately jumps into a cab. They cut in as a special news report, and the guy's about to break the record of like 11 years and 2 months. He bicycles up a hill and finds Terry Gilliam hiding in a cave.
It's hysterical. This one was a talk show called Interesting People. We meet Mr. Keith Maniac of Guatemala, a man who can put bricks to sleep by hypnosis. And there's one where an entire town is Superman. Everyone has Superman costumes on. They're all on the commuter bus. A mob boss, but he's actually a bishop. The bishop. Crossing the Atlantic on a tricycle. Fairy stories about the police. I mean, it was the highest octane comedy I'd ever seen. So this is why when my parents would put on Jerry Lewis movies where he's bumbling around and talking in that squeaky voice, they're laughing their asses off. And I'm like, this isn't funny at all. The Three Stooges poking each other in the eye. When's the funny part?
Yeah, I felt the same way when my grandma would fall asleep and leave.
Benny Hill.
She would leave Benny Hill on.
Well, Benny Hill, you got to see tits.
But that was it. I was like, somewhere the whole
That was
thing
enough.
was somebody's clothes fell off.
That was
somebody's
enough.
Pants fell off. I was like, this is funny.
God damn it. We had 3 channels. It was 1981. I wanted some tits. I wasn't looking for high octane comedy at that point, right? In fact, I didn't like a lot of stand-up comedy I'd seen either. Like I really didn't get into Carlin or Pryor or any of that. So I kind of written it off until I saw Gary Shandling put out Alone in Vegas. He completed my Jedi training. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Someone told me I look like a cross between David Brenner and Jimmy Carter. Yeah, those are ugly people. Yeah, he was the greatest. So, all right, we're gonna play a song now. I tried to translate this. The song is called Stupidos do Metal Infernal. When I put it into Google, it says Hell Metal Stupids. So this is Forca Macabra. Okay, let's talk about Imperfect Foods.
Imperfect Foods is a service you've long heard us touted. In fact, we were considering the logistics of that the other day. But you order from them. They actually have a longer window now. They have combined Imperfect Foods
Misfits Market.
with Misfits Markets to kind of become a bigger company. So
Danzig Daiquiris.
there's even more on offer. So here's how it works. You place your order. A lot of these items are
Sam Hamm sandwiches is good too.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Anyway.
But they have lots of ugly produce. It will tell you what's up with it. Spots, misshapen, too big. A lot of these have never seen the shelves, but that's not what I'm going to show you today. What I also like about Imperfect, as well as the fruits and the produce, is their meat selection. This is stuff you can't just run down to your local grocery store and find, and I'll show you what I mean.
You know it's a party when the cooler comes out.
Dog yesterday to worry about. Good catch.
We're gonna get the Joe Rogan mic stands. It's gonna happen.
Salmon burgers.
Wow.
Already made for you. These are fully cooked. All you have to do is heat them up. Gluten-free if you're worried about that. Cooks in 7 minutes. Put these on a bun with some lettuce and tomato, maybe a little bacon.
Mhm.
Really good. This isn't stuff you're going to find at Giant.
Guilt-free too. 'Cause,
Yep.
you know,
All right. Also, like a quick meal thing. This is beef strips that are already seasoned for fajitas. Really easy to make these into a quesadilla, tacos. This is really high quality steak. I've never been upset with the quality of this. It's always tender. It's never rubbery or fatty. Really good stuff.
something like that in one of those taco shells that's made out of Takis. I won't be able to sleep knowing it's in the house.
All right. How about just something like a center pork roast? And this is small, wasn't expensive, but this is better than me going to the store because it's just the two of us and buying a $15 pork roast. We're going to throw half of it out. You know, this is good for just making this or making it into a stew. How about ground elk meat? They have elk, buffalo. We had the best lamb burgers the other week.
Mhm.
Really different stuff that you can get through Imperfect.
I thought you'd go to the Elk Lodge for that.
This is a half-eaten habanero cheese, cheddar cheese.
Guilty.
That
It'll be gone tonight, guarantee it.
These we actually ate this morning, but I saved the box. 100% grass-fed, pasture-raised beef sausage links. These were already cooked, so it was super easy. I just threw them into the end of the air fryer when I made the bacon.
Yep.
And really great recipe. Again, super inexpensive because the portions are huge. Or you can get pantry staples. This is their extra virgin olive oil. They actually have stuff in their own brands. Odds and Ends is one of theirs. Quite reasonable. And they ship it, and usually there's a BWI, which is our local international airport sticker on it, and they deliver it right to your door. No fighting with reusable shopping bags, no shopping lists, just comes right to you. And you can get such neat products.
Very good. It's time for Wax of Contrition. And this week we're going to talk about the band Deifago, Into the Eyes of Satan. The album came out in 2015.
Would not go so far as calling these guys a Sarcophago tribute band, despite the similar moniker. But this trio from Costa Rica by way of the Philippines are about as close as it gets. Veteran war metalers that go all the way back to the late 1980s and built around the duo of guitarists Saidapa, Hash Shaptu, and bassist vocalist Voltaire 666.
AKA Voltaire Parang.
Produced only demos for the first 10 plus years of their existence as well as going through a staggering number of drummers, as many as 5 before releasing their first full length. But stark determination and dedication to their dark craft has proven to be the order of the day, as the band has gone on to release 5 full lengths, as well as a handful of splits and EPs.
We're going to focus on their 4th album overall. This is their 3rd on Hell's Headbangers. It's composed of 9 brutal tracks, mostly in the 4 to 6 minute range. Behind the skins at this stage is one Fabian Agu, aka Savnak, and his style is an insanely aggressive trample everything combination of constant blasts, heavy tom rolls, and blitzkrieg snare abuse. It's no wonder these guys have been through so many drummers, considering what they expect out of one. Produced by the prolific knob twiddler Colin Marston of Crowless fame, among a dozen other projects, what bounds from the speakers when the needle hits the groove is nothing short of pure chaotic hell. Check this song out. It's called Into the Eye of Satan.
It should be obvious for an album with titles like Calculated Acts of Cruelty and Bloodbath of a Genocide that this is not a half hour of cocktail lounge jazz. Lyrics are simple and to the point, delivered in a style reminiscent of possessed Jeff Becerra. It is all hellstorms, bloodbaths, chaos, and blasphemy, as one would expect from a seasoned war metal band such as this. The only one that's a little confusing is the strangely numeric 6 times 6 times 6 divided by 3. Hey, nobody told me we were going to have to do math on this album.
It's interesting.
Although the lyrics speak of 72 demons and 36 rulers, but the combination of Parang's evil rasp and Fabian's stutter-stepping brutality, the track comes through as the oral equivalent of being dragged out of your car and beaten by an angry mob. The title track may be the disc's apogee, lumbering out of the gates on a slow tempo and the wicked throb of Voltaire's bass, eventually hiccuping its way to the band's signature blaze of chaotic speed, and eventually a bizarre solo that sounds like it's being played backwards and harmonized.
Perhaps the best thing about these guys compared to other bands in the genre is their longevity. Compared to the on-again, off-again discographies of Bestial Warlust and Blasphemy, these guys have stayed consistent for 5 albums and several decades. Here's hoping they make it to MDF in the coming years, as hearing this racket live is definitely on my bucket list.
This is Red Dragons of Chaos.
Okay, I want to introduce the interview.
This is our interview with Forca Macabra. I was so intrigued to get the backstory on this crazy blend. What great guys, and I'm so glad to see that they are working on new music as we speak in the studio, putting it together. So I can't wait for more from this dynamic group.
Wait till we get to the part where they talk about when they actually get to Brazil. You'll learn a lot about the Brazilian metal scene. Yeah. Anyway, so check it out.
I'm Otto Itkonen, one of the 2 Ottos in this band. I play the drums.
2 Ottos don't make a right. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We've seen it a lot of times. That's a good one. I don't know if I don't know if we have heard that yet. 2 Ottos don't make a right. True.
Well, thanks for, and it was kind of short notice too, so it's great to have both of you on the interview. It's great. So,
Sure.
I guess we should start off with the obvious question, which is, what was the catalyst that made a band from Finland want to create a tribute to Brazilian hardcore and thrash? You know, like who came up with the idea, and did you think it would last this long?
Well, I can say that I would never have thought about it, that this band would be still going on after decades. What's that, 35 35 years almost, is
Yep.
it? Yeah. But well, the idea, I suppose, it was our mutual love for a Brazilian 80s hardcore punk and thrashcore.
Mm.
As simple as that. But
Yep.
well, there's more to that. I don't know if Otto can put some more flesh on that story. I'm a bit confused right now, to be honest. I'm just having my dinner and I've been super busy the whole day. And
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think me and Otto, we got to know each other in 1990, or yeah, that's must have been.
1990, yeah.
Then we started to do this thing like tape trading and stuff, and we found out that both we liked pretty much Brazilian hardcore punk. Then maybe a year later, you suggested maybe we should try to do a band like that, and here we are.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in the beginning, did anybody know how to speak Portuguese, or did you have to start
No.
from scratch? Oh my gosh.
How did you learn the language? Like, how did you do it?
I had one Portuguese English dictionary that my friend's mother gave to me. Then I had some records that had lyrics, even some like the Lobotomia first LP had lyrics in English and Portuguese. So I had something, but that was nothing.
Yeah,
And
we knew just a couple of phrases, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
you
way
knew
back
some
before you had
friends.
Google
Yeah.
Translate to help you.
Right. He didn't have anything like that.
Yeah, well, we had some tape trading pals in Portugal and in Brazil. And I suppose first yank we got from first time we were helped by this guy called Chico from a band of Atrofiados and later Atentado. And he was the vocalist of the band and a pen pal, tape trading pal of mine. And I think I probably sent him in a letter the lyrics that we have written with with this kind of humble suggestion that if there are some mistakes, would you please correct? And he was like, bloody hell. That was a total mess, guys. So he just sent us an audio tape where he had rewritten and and vocalized, like he was speaking the lyrics like with this really thick Portuguese accent, speaking the lyrics on the tape, and we were just trying to make something out of it. And well,
yeah, and we have to remember that it was the era of snail mail. So meanwhile, this was in the making, the lyrics and translations and the guidance. Meanwhile, we went into studio and made the demo tapes and records and stuff like that. So
yeah, that's true. Those were made with our original lyrics. Like that.
Yeah.
It's like it's not hard enough to write an album, to write an album in a language that you're just learning. That's got to be so difficult,
It is.
Yeah.
So what was your kind of family and friends' initial reaction when they caught wind of this project? Were they like supportive? Were they like, what?
Well, I think it was more or less obvious thing because I was already like playing in a band and playing hardcore, and so what if I make Brazilian hardcore? It's no big deal, that was going on.
Yeah, I don't think we thought it would be anything that special. We knew it was kind of something a little bit unique, but not that kind of a special thing that would raise eyebrows even decades later. That whoa, how can you guys do that, and so forth. And well, as for our families, I don't know if there was any support from them. I don't know if they had any idea if my bands were playing what kind of music. They just knew that I was making some noise. Gotcha. And that's that. But my family was always supportive for my musical hobby, for my musical interests. That's for sure.
We've come to learn that bands from Finland, the metal and hardcore is very supported in that, over where you guys are, as opposed to other parts of the world where it might be like, oh yeah, but what's your day job, kind of thing.
Well,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Perhaps more so
What's your
today.
day job? You need one. You need one.
I hear you. Yeah.
So where did the band's name come from? It looks like it loosely translated into Macabra Gallows.
Well-
It came from the Brazilian band called Scarnio.
Oh.
That was on this compilation LP Ataques
Contra-Ataque.
Yes. And they have this song where they sing Forza Macabra, Forza Sinistra.
Okay.
Then it came from there.
Very
It took a while to decide, is it Forza Sinistra or Forza Macabra, but I think it's a good name.
I almost forgot that part. But both of those names would have been cool.
Yeah.
It sounds really awesome still today, hearing those lines, the Forza Sinistra, Forza Macabra,
Yeah.
sung by Mauro of Scarnio.
That was a great bio that you wrote on was that Indecent Extreme or whatever that you did for that festival that you were playing at. I had to have you
All right.
I just had to have you confirm it because sometimes we'll stumble across something like that and it's like got all bad information written by someone else, So when you said I wrote it, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
This will help us with the interview,
Yeah. In fact, I remember I decided to write it because Mr. Itkonen, he used to write all the stuff like he wrote libraries of historics and interviews. So now it's my turn to take care of that. And I think that's the most recent history of Forza Macabra. Some point even after that, because we are now again Fees band. Our bass player turned, and we are now, since that we are again 5-piece.
Oh, so you're going with two guitars
It's been
now?
a while.
Yeah.
It's great. I loved when you wrote about when the second guitar player joined and you were compared to a shitty version of Slayer and you said, we loved that. That's a great comparison.
Yes.
It was hysterical, yeah. And then after I read that, I went back and I listened to Aqua Inferno and that intro. That I'm like, this sounds like Hell Awaits, the intro to Hell Awaits, totally, so I could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite amazing.
That's a compliment, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell Awaits,
quite
that's my favorite
amazing.
Slayer.
Mine too.
Oh, yeah.
Hell Awaits is totally mine. I actually have a Hell Awaits tattoo. So yeah.
That's the first one you heard, and
It is truly amazing how the lineup has stayed so consistent over so many years, except for the bass player. That's been about the only movable piece. What do you credit to being able to, stick together and not have all these lineup changes? Is it is it cohesiveness? Is it that you guys are friends? What's the secret?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel that I've been blessed. I've been very lucky, that is, to have such a fantastic bandmates. And that's the thing. That's how I see it. It's just that we get along with each other well enough. Plus, of course, we have had our disagreements, but it's just life. The band's been going on always there somehow, like together with us.
Yes, it seems like a lot of bands, especially in the underground, might get to where everybody's in their late 20s, and that's always kind of the era where you're saying, so and so is thinking about getting married, and what are we really doing here, and that sort of thing. Like and you guys survive that. I mean, obviously with very minimal lineup changes.
Yeah, there was a point when we used to play quite a lot, and maybe life on the road was more chaotic, but also I think that we haven't pushed ourselves too much. We take our time if we need to something. Nobody would care if we made like 15 LPs. We have maybe 3 or 4.
Right.
We do it at our own pace.
Yeah, that's for sure a very important part of surviving that long with the same guys.
The patience.
Just take it easy.
Yeah, patience.
Give each other time and space, and
Yeah, it looks like the
And
biggest changes that you've had have been labels. You've been on Janet, Mind Control, Agpunk. What are kind of your best and worst label experiences? Because I've heard some good and some bad as far as getting support or
Whatever, distribution.
distribution or just bad management.
I can't think immediately on the top of my head any really bad experiences as such. Of course, there might have been some mishaps here and there, but what the hell? That too is life. So I mean, I don't know. Can you, Otto, remember some good experiences on the other hand? Maybe those I remember well. Yeah.
Well, some guys of the labels have been really helpful at certain times, like Bruno from Genet Records,
Mm.
who put the first LP out very quickly and supported us on the tour.
True.
Also
It's like
Martin from Mallory.
Yeah, if we start from the 90s.
Fabio from Usina de Sangue, Brazil. And some of the records they take years to come out because we take also our time with the artwork and covers and mixing and whatever.
Right.
So if it takes some time, we don't care.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised to
But
see
so
that.
far we are I guess we're hoping to meet one day some really super helpful label that will give us opportunities to do whatever we want.
Yeah.
Because now everything is very limited.
Yeah.
Everything is basically done on hobby basis.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you, I was looking at your
We
history.
spare what we can. We spare what we can from some pocket money or some little holidays that we can have from the work and other things in life that keep you occupied. And it's sometimes very difficult to manage between like 5 entities, 5 families, such as Forca Macabra is 5 members. It's like 5 families behind, and as you can imagine, it takes time to make things happen. Also,
Yeah, I was looking at your history. It looks like Pedro is also in Vyman Kelowna.
he was, yeah.
He was. Are they still around? I love them. I love that band. I haven't heard anything from them in ages.
I don't think they are, not anymore, because the singer Kaide, he has other bands like Keretic and Etuaste. I don't think Viimeinen Kolonna exist anymore.
For sure, yeah, they finished.
Gotcha.
Pedro is also the maestro of Pedro Antares group, which is the band called Humiliation, which is the thrash metal band.
Okay.
Also bassista in Kuolema. Very important. Kuolema has not been doing much, but it's still around.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it looked like 3 of you were in Jumulation.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So when you finally, when you got to experience Brazil, was the culture there kind of what you expected, or was it different?
Different. It was less violent and less chaotic.
Wow.
we had this kind of a really like a maybe some field. Well, back then this information was fewer and little. It was not available that well, so we could use our imagination what it was like with all these accidents and explosions and gunfights on the street and whatnot.
Right. Okay.
But when we get there for the first time, it wasn't like that. We got robbed, but it was a different kind of situation.
That's interesting.
I think what you see.
That's how I felt it. I mean,
yeah,
I was expecting something different. kind of.
I think a lot of our perceptions end up coming from movies, which aren't exactly always,
Yeah, true.
reality.
Right.
But it's funny, when I went to the USA for the first time, everything was exactly as I've seen in the movies. What the visuals.
Yeah.
Of course, the underlying undertones, they are much different. They're not that kind of fabricated storyline, but But what you can see, it was like, hey, well, it looks like I've been here before. It's because I've sat, so many hours in front of the screen watching all the American films, TV
Yeah.
shows and whatnot. So, yeah.
It's so funny, the different cultural stereotypes. When I was in college, my senior year, my roommate had graduated, so that you had an opportunity to have someone come from another country who basically they had an English, program.
Exchange.
Yeah, kind of an exchange.
Exchange, right.
So I got this girl from China. And when I
Right.
first came into the room, she must have laughed for 10 minutes straight. And when she finally caught her breath, because I'm about 5'2", she said she thought all American girls were tall. And she was so relieved I was like, we were the same height.
Funny. Yeah.
That's funny.
That's the stereotype. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like I said, we recently did a feature on Aqua and O Inferno from 2008. How did that album got picked up by Blackwater Records in the US, and it looks like that was one of your better distributed albums. How did you guys come to work with them?
Again, Keith of Blackwater, he was my pen pal to start with.
Okay.
And I can't remember which way around. If he asked me if Forca Macabra wants to do something for him or for Blackwater, or if I asked, do you want to make a US pressing of this, our next LP? Could be either way around, because we were kind of closely communicating at that time and met also rather frequently, because I went with my other band Selfish to US in 2002, I think 2001, and then rather quickly for the second time also, and he came also with his band Hellshock, and maybe some other touring bands came to Europe, so we got to meet each other, so we had time to chat these things over.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's great that you've gotten to tour the US.
But that's
guys have
basically
toured-
how everything has
Right.
worked with us.
You guys
Almost
have toured.
everything.
Have you guys have toured US and Japan? Is that right?
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah.
What was Japan like?
Well, also stereotypes and controversies, but it's well, the Japanese are very, very nice people, and they take very good care of their guests. So it's a nice place to visit for sure. The shows were, I suppose, goodish, mediocre, but not terribly, horribly bad. Maybe most of the time. But we played 10 gigs, was it? Maybe.
Yeah, 9 or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 10 was on the back of the T-shirt, but one was canceled. No, it was not canceled, but we couldn't make it because there was a bloody snowstorm and we got stuck on the highway in this massive traffic pile, and we had to sleep overnight in this freezing cold Toyota Hiace minivan. That was a nightmare. We were so cold, and so a couple of us got really like this deathly fever, and
oh wow,
that's horrible. Getting sick on the road.
Yeah, funny thing in Japan was that you were supposed to play like 20 to 25 minutes, even only 15 minutes, if you're headlining of the punk show of 6 or 7 bands.
Yeah,
that was a blessing because we drank that much, so we could just play easily 20 minutes and that's it.
Yeah.
As opposed to Brazil, for example, where they expected from us even a set of 1 hour minimum.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah, and we had never probably played 60 minutes before that. And I suppose we did it maybe once in Brasilia, the capital.
Yes.
Because there was really a big push that they made this kind of story around it, that if we don't play, there is going to be a riot and they will, break the place and whatnot.
Wow.
If you don't play the minimum 60 minutes. Afterwards, I suppose, now that I'm thinking of it, I'm pretty sure nothing would have happened, but
yeah,
but it's easy to fool you.
But your songs are only like 2 or 3 minutes long. So I mean, how many songs did you have to cram in there?
Bloody many, and most of them are quite fast too. lot of words to spit out, and many
It's a
beats per
workout.
minute.
Yeah.
It's definitely workout. The
Yeah.
Brazilian
Yeah.
show I remember in particular because it was really hot, like super hot, and I was so exhausted that close to the end of the show, somebody, stage managers saw that I was struggling. He just came next to me with this kind of big plastic basket full of ice cubes, and I just like dropped myself in this, bowl of this kind of baby bath tube all full of ice,
Wow.
and I was there like I don't know, half a minute or something, and then woke up a little bit and
Oof.
continued to the end.
Wow.
That's how crazy we was sometimes.
So you've had extreme cold and extreme hot.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but probably they were thinking I'm gonna pass out or something of the
Yeah.
exhaustion.
Guessing there was no air conditioning.
Yeah. Probably not.
It's a big place, but when the air is just very hot and stale, then it won't help you. It's close to 30 degrees, like 25 degrees, close to midnight. And,
Oh,
Yeah, you spend a day in a car and then you wait for the show like 8 hours and then you play into like 2 a.m. Then you
they
won't
were-
get some tiredness.
the shows were very late as well in Brazil, whereas in Japan the shows are very early. The whole ordeal is easily over by like 11 p.m. From 7 p.m. till 11 p.m. bands, and then it's finished, and everybody goes home except for the bands maybe who go to celebrate.
Right.
Otto, do you remember that story from we played in Goiânia and we were again the last band like of the 6 and it was 3 a.m. and Pedro Antares, just when he had to go on stage, he passed out behind the bass amp. We have to kick him up and come on, let's play.
I don't remember that thing, but I remember the gig and the place, but I can't remember. But on the other hand, Pedro has passed out or nearly passed out on several of our shows over the years. So it's probably
On
something
4
that
continents.
I didn't pay much attention to. So like just another day in the life of a bass player. Yeah, you said on 4 continents.
I didn't touch any dials. I didn't do anything.
Oh, God, to be 3 a.m., I would be so drunk just to start with, and then I got to play for an hour. My God,
good pacing.
Yeah, I got nothing for pacing.
So I noticed at least you do have a lot of covers on. Usually you have on each, even the split. I noticed you had Lobotom's March to Die on your last split. How do you go about selecting what covers you do? Or do you guys like vote, or do you have like a list in mind?
No, let's play this one. Okay, let's play that one too. Let's play it all.
It's a spur of a moment. You just get excited about something and think, oh, bloody hell, let's do this. Or let's give this a try. But I think we have played a little bit less covers these last years, haven't we?
That's true.
We do occasionally. We do play them, but not as frantically as it at one stage. It seemed like that we were transforming into a band who is just doing covers.
Yeah,
I mean, we played some
Yeah.
shows that were just dedicated for covers only. Maybe that was the joke.
Or normal gig would be like 50% covers. But
Do you
now
have like a song that's really requested a lot that's a cover that you've done, like for a live show?
No, Most to Die is one of them. And Cabeza Metal by Salario Minimo is another anthem.
Yeah, I really like the fact that you still include some as well as, all your guys' original, which, gosh, at least it gives you a lot when you got to do these hour shows.
Yeah.
But
You guys have done a lot of.
I think I'll just say this one thing that I think it's been also our way of showing where our roots come from, and that and because we have literally like stolen a lot of stuff from Brazil, you know, they have given us a lot, if not, you know, one-to-one, but we have got a lot of ideas from there. So, and we are not trying to hide that fact. It's like so we're very open, and we say like that's one of our ways to say that thank you, that thank you for the music, as ABBA said it.
Well, I was going to ask you about, you guys have done so many splits. Like, what are some of your favorites, and how do you decide if you're going to do a split with another band?
Well, that too has been like going slower and slower, releasing split records with other bands. I don't know. I guess nowadays we are more, if not picky, we are more careful, like where we invest our few few pearls that we have.
Yeah.
We don't have that much, you know, to spread around, so we rather do fewer releases these days, like split wise. But I think it's mostly nowadays and back then too, mostly it's been like a kind of friendship projects. You meet somebody on the way, or somebody just is nice enough and approaches us. In the 90s, if you did that and asked, can we release a split CD with you guys? I said, well, go ahead if you want to do it. And so there's been, you know, popping out some weird split tapes and split CDs and four-way CDs and cassette-only releases and in many parts of this planet.
Yeah.
But it's I
One
suppose we
awesome
have
thing
like that way.
Was to accomplish the split with Armageddon. It was like a unbelievable that happened.
Sure. Yeah. You asked what are our favorites. That's
Yeah.
definitely like a
Why was that your favorite?
well, Otto, what do you think?
I think because it's with Armageddon, and we got to know Javier and the guys, and we share a lot of stuff together now, and Javier came here to meet us and record with us, and it really started some good cooperation.
It's a really special friendship, I think, between Armageddon personnel and us. We share a very good bond.
And our most important influence as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you get to make a split with your biggest heroes, it's kind of, you know, a dream to come true.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's very, very special material by Armageddon.
Yes, it is.
We didn't know that they have anything else released, anything else recorded but the LP Silencio Funebre. But then we got in touch thanks to internet. We found each other, and we found out from Javier that they actually recorded in the late 80s, 89, I think.
Yeah.
A demo tape, rather crude production, but awesome, brilliant songs, and we were immediately, we must make a split with you guys with this material. And actually, that's where this what's this third-rate combat core band Joe comes from, that you were probably referring to in the beginning of this interview.
Yeah.
Because when we were offering this split LP, well, there was a label from USA, from Minneapolis, a friend of mine again, Kerry from Sin Fronteras Discos. He was one of the Profane Existence crew, and he was gonna make a split for Forca Macabra. He was so much into the idea. Then I sent him the material that this is Forca Macabra, and let me present you. This is Armageddon. We're doing a split with them. You can release it. He was like, bloody hell, guys, I will not release this. I'm sorry. That you sound like, no, not you, but Armageddon. They sound like some third-rate
Garage death metal.
Garage death metal, right? Yeah, some really weird description. And then I think there was another friend of mine from the USA who also turned the project down. Was it Jack? I think it was Jack actually.
What a mistake.
Then,
Yeah.
exactly. It was a mistake, a grave error. Yeah, but then one more label from the US, 6 weeks. Then
Yeah.
I didn't know them before, but I knew they had a solid reputation being a good underground label. So I sent them an email, I think, or a letter. I just asked for it, and they heard the tapes and they were really like, "Wow, this is great! Let's do it." So then it finally happened, but it was delayed for another year, maybe because of this hassle with the labels. But it came out in the end, and we are really happy. That's definitely one of my dearest releases by any of my bands ever that I have been involved with.
So
It's
when
a-
you do a split, like who gets to pick what's on the cover? Because I thought it's a little bit of a diversion for you on Just Another Day in the Cruel World. I think that's a historical photo on there of
What's
the
that, please?
bodies on spits.
Yeah.
Which one?
For
Which?
it was the split for Another Day in the Cruel World. It was like it looked like an actual photo of like bodies on some kind of spits or spikes.
Another Day in a Cruel World. It's a translation from some title. What could that be? That doesn't ring any bells.
I was just curious who gets to pick kind of the covers, or is it kind of a group decision when you're doing a split?
Well, sometimes we don't get to pick the cover at all.
Ah,
Sometimes it comes from the label or it comes from the other band who has proposed the split for us. They might have, everything ready.
Right.
They're just asking for the music from us. I think the Scarnio split, that artwork, that was by a Brazilian guy, was it not?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he took our ideas and drew it.
Our,
The guy. Yeah.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was definitely a collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah, our idea, but somebody in Brazil made it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
How
I don't
about that Armageddon split LP cover? Who drew it? It was a Polish.
Kojo.
Kojo.
Joo.
Okay.
Were you able to see any of the Brazilian bands back in the day, like Overdose or Ratos de Poreo live? Did you get to see any of them?
Back in the day, what do you mean? In the 80s?
Yeah, in the 80s.
No, but when we were in Brazil, we definitely saw many of the old great bands like Chacal, Lobotomia,
Armageddon. So many times. Yes, Ascarnio as well.
Yeah. And we saw all the metal guys from Sao Paulo when we hung out. Cholera, Corsus. Yeah.
Oh, I know Corsus. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Did they give you any kind of feedback on what you were doing? Were you able to meet and talk with any of them? And were they stoked
They're
on
really,
your
really,
effort?
really supportive, really stoked.
Cool.
Like really taken by our stab on Brazilian music.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
like
sure.
a friend of mine's in a band, and they wanted to do some kind of a Spanish tribute. So they recorded a song. It's an American band. They recorded a song in Spanish, and they were playing it live. And afterwards, this couple people came up that were from Brazil, and they said, "Oh no, not Brazil. They were from anyway. They spoke Spanish. I think they might have been Mexican." And they said, "What you're singing makes no sense at all. You know that, right?" It's terrible. Oh yeah. So
Yeah, they
I
just
would be afraid of that, So
yeah, they just wanted to insult. It seems.
it was mean. Yeah.
I always say that how many bands sing in crappy English? So
Yeah.
why couldn't you sing in crappy Portuguese or whatever? Learn something during the years, but it's still crappy.
Yeah.
When you actually go to write lyrics,
it's maybe broken,
what language do you start out in? Or is it Portuguese from the get-go?
When I write, I try to start in Portuguese phrases.
So it's probably gotten easier.
Many of the other guys write, they are translated.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we just mold them enough that they fit in the mouth, and then we hear what's wrong there and what's wrong there, and it's
Tell
fun.
me,
Funny.
did you or did you not try AI for writing lyrics also
I didn't
for Portuguese or not?
No.
No. Okay. Yeah.
That's a
I
whole
was just
nother
thinking about that one
controversy.
day. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people are just so anti AI these days. Like you got to prove your artwork isn't. You got to, it's
Yeah. Of course. I
crazy.
mean,
Well,
but
how can you
it
prove
can
that?
be great fun.
How can you prove that you didn't use a at some point?
Yeah,
Because I think Shakal was using AI, like when he wrote the lyrics in English for me. He was having some ideas, and then he wrote, and then I will translate them, and then we go from there. Yeah.
So I would love to get my hands on that VHS called The Dirty Years of kind of like your live performances. What performances did you choose to include there? I guess it was some
All of them.
highlights. And why were you going to call it The Dirty Years?
I suppose it's an homage to the Ratos de Porao, this dirty and aggressive Cada Dia Mais Sujo Agresivo LP. Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe it just came to me. I think I was behind the stupid name. Probably. Probably. Yeah.
120 minutes of bizarre and horrible footage.
Is that so? Yeah. Yeah. I still have the VHS.
It'd probably be
But
great.
but then there's also DVD. That's a very limited. Only 20 copies were ever made, because back then DVDs were so difficult to manufacture, copy.
Yeah.
Nobody had these DVD burners. Anyway, there was a friend of ours who was working at some place that had a DVD burner, and he was doing there like 20 copies. And we made these kind of nice cases. And I don't know where they are nowadays, those DVDs, but I know, besides me, I know at least one guy who has. I don't know if Otto has one. Maybe not. But
Maybe.
yeah. Anyways, this just came to my mind because the DVD, that's not just 120 minutes, but that's like a full DVD. It was a 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
but the footage, it's more or less very crappy.
Yeah, it's like VHS shows.
Like it was at that time.
Maybe
Just
you
a
get it on one of
curiosity.
the streaming platforms. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Netflix or Tubi or one of them.
Yeah. I don't know. Back in the day, there weren't a lot of the live albums that came out like in the 80s for these thrash bands weren't very good. I mean, like the Dark Angel Live Scars wasn't very good. It just didn't seem like it translated to live very well.
Maybe it wasn't recorded.
Only Under Siege is the only one I can think of that I thought was really awesome.
Yeah, I think maybe they were made to fill up some contracts or something like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
I felt that way too.
For live albums, you go for Black Sabbath Live Evil or something like that. That really sounds good and not just the crappy sound.
Yeah. It's almost like that sonically, just in the 80s, they couldn't get the right sound for thrash, to sound good live,
It's too polished.
Yeah.
I felt it was too clean a sound.
Yeah. Well, we play a game on the show, and I think you guys are going to like it. It's called Blaspheming Monikers, okay? And here's how it works.
Monikers.
Yeah. So it's
Sounds
5.
awesome.
I have 5 band names in front of me. One is fake. So I want you guys to try to guess which one of these is not a real band, okay? Okay, I'll run through them and then you guys take a guess and then we'll just keep going until you get it right or we run out of band names, okay? Okay. Hog Slammer, Hog Demon, Hog Mountain, Hog Breeder, and Hog Tooth. Which one of those sounds fake?
What
Hog
was the
Demon.
second last?
Hog Demon was fake.
Second last was Hog Breeder.
Hog breeder,
Yeah.
like farmer.
Yeah.
That's a good name. All of those are.
I say that one. That one is fake.
All right.
Well, Hog Breeders actually they're real. They're from Florida, death metal, 1 EP. So
One EP.
yeah, 1 EP.
When was that released?
I didn't write it down. Sometime in the mid 2000s, I think. So Hog Breeder. So that leaves Hog Slammer, Hog Demon, Hog Mountain, and Hog Tooth.
Okay. And Hog Demon was not correct, right?
Oh, Hog Demon is right. Yeah, you got it. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the
Yeah.
fake one. Yeah. All the other ones, like Hog Slammer is from Delaware, Hog Mountain's from Alabama, and Hog Tooth is from Nova Scotia. So
Lots of hogs in America.
Maybe
That's pretty good.
Halifax. Is it from Halifax?
Halifax, yep.
Have you seen
Oh.
the film Siege? It's
Uh-uh.
also called Citizens Patrol from the early
Uh-huh.
80s. This kind of a action-packed night movie.
Okay.
It's about a police strike in Halifax. It's a great little film. You should
Yeah,
definitely
I'll have to
watch
check it out.
Siege.
I bet we'll be able to find that somewhere.
Yeah.
So I did notice your recent posts kind of indicate that you're in pre-production at the studio. Is it Baraka Chaka? I'm going to kill that. Chocolate?
What?
So what kind of phase are you in for your recordings? And would this be an EP or a full length?
We are aiming for full length
Okay.
album. We have a lot of material, but we are just putting together the songs. Then we would need time to practice it, if that ever happens. And then, well, we were maybe quite optimistic that we could record within 1 year. Let's see. But we take our time. There good stuff coming.
Yeah, I feel
Something
it's
like
coming.
when we
It's coming
started this
sooner than
band.
later.
When we started this band, we did everything in like that. It's done.
Yeah.
But now we take also time and think about a bit how it should sound and what are we trying to do.
I guess, like you said, it takes some time to put it together, like arranging the stuff. And then when we have the idea ready, then practicing it is the easiest part, and playing, maybe recording is even the easiest part. But you know, the closer we get to the goal, the easier it gets. That's how I see it. But this is still, where I'm looking from is we are still a little bit far away.
Yeah.
But it needs a couple of steps, and then we can start make quick progress, I feel.
I'd like to see some of this stuff played live during the next year or something. So it helps.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sure.
How often do you guys get together and rehearse? Do you guys get to? Is it regular basis or?
No.
Yeah, it's regular basis, once in 6 months, I would say. Isn't it?
It's very regular.
Yeah.
Yeah, couple
It's
of
like we
times a
are
year.
from two cities. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a time when we all lived in capital area, Helsinki area. That time we practiced quite regularly, but now it's always a thing. How do we arrange that?
Yeah.
I think we were really in really good form as a band, like 2 decades ago, when we were practicing every week and playing a lot of shows and touring also quite extensively. We're in really good shape.
I was trying to figure out if you guys were from Baltimore, if you had ever played the Maryland Death Fest, but I couldn't find evidence that you had. Had you?
No.
We have played Baltimore, but not any fests. No.
Not the Death Fest.
That's cool.
No.
I didn't know you guys had been here. That's great.
Yeah, I was thinking they're so into legacy bands now. I was like, I was hoping maybe they would ask you guys to come.
Yeah.
Maybe you can give us some help.
Yeah. I don't know how that process works, because they'll sometimes a band will get back together that hasn't played together for 20 years just to play at Maryland Death
Mm.
Fest. So I wonder
Mm.
who contacts who. Like, how does that? I don't even know. I really don't know. So
I'll put you guys on the they have a
we have nothing to do with it.
no, but they do have a website, and I'm always suggesting things as far as that. But I think you guys would fit in great.
I do too.
You know, like when Severe Torture played here this year, it was
Yeah, I
great.
suppose so.
Yeah.
I've heard many good things, and some Finnish bands have played there. I think Reverend Bizarre went there,
Yeah.
and some more recent bands for sure.
Yeah. Well, we interviewed Shade Empire. They're from Finland, right?
Mhm.
Shade
Who's that?
Empire. Yeah, I think we interviewed them last year. Their last album was really good.
Lots of videos.
Lots of videos. Yeah. Well,
Do you
this is
remember
good.
what was the place in Baltimore
No.
with Forca Macabra? Or with
Some
who?
kind of bar, but I don't remember.
Maybe Otto Bar.
How long ago was it? Like what year? About?
2007 or something like that.
It was
That
probably
was
either
retro.
it was probably either the Otto Bar or the Side Bar.
It was with Ben driving, right? From Drop Dead, that tour, Kuolema and Forca Macabra.
Yeah.
That was in Baltimore.
Yeah, it was all Otto Bar and Side Bar back then, and would have had to be one of those two, I would think.
Because Baltimore Soundstage and Metro, I think,
They
are more
didn't. They
recent.
weren't around. Maybe Ram's Head. That was around, but I don't know. So
Or the
Bloody hell.
time.
a
It's
long
all
time
blank
ago.
in my head.
Yeah.
No, usually I have some kind of, even vague recollection of the place or some people or
Yeah.
bands, but Baltimore, that tour, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think we did Philadelphia before that, and that was
Oh,
at
okay.
the Disgraceland,
Yeah.
the Squatted
Okay.
House.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was actually ill there. I had high fever.
You probably had a better crowd in Philly, though.
What's that?
Yeah, I said you probably had a better crowd in Philadelphia, though. They come out up there more than we do here. So
Right. Yeah. Well, that was an excellent show. Really.
yeah.
Probably the best or one of the two best gigs on the tour
It's-
that time. Philly has been usually good when I've been there.
Yeah.
Oh, we like
A lot of kids into metal and thrash and hardcore punk.
Yeah.
Really great shows. Well, we hope to see you guys back on this side of the pond.
At some point.
Maybe next Death Fest. Maybe just stopping by.
And let us know when the new album is done or EP or whatever it is, and we'll be happy to listen to it and review it. Yeah.
So what's that thing that you did review of Aki Inferno? What you didn't, did you?
We haven't uploaded it yet, but here's the record.
So give us the review.
We will.
Okay.
Yeah. As soon as I upload it, I'll send you the link.
All
Okay.
right.
Very
It's quite
good.
funny.
That's
like
bootlegging.
That's like, that LP was recorded like 2004, wasn't it? Not. It was 2004.
Yeah.
The story behind that album is that we started in Portugal 2003 to make a split LP with Subchaos, but that didn't happen. Then we wrote more songs and recorded in 2006, I think in Helsinki, and it came out 2008 finally. It was a long project as well.
It's a good example of how slowly things
like 5-6 years. 5-6 years in the making.
I love the cover,
No
that green. Like, what is?
Yeah.
How did that artwork come around? Like, what is that?
It almost looks like
Are
little
those cobras? What is that?
tendrils.
Yeah, I don't know.
They are space snakes.
Okay.
Or space snails or space slugs. But definitely something spacey.
Okay.
Well, that's a friend of mine from Japan who did the cover artwork, and I asked him to do something as much influenced by some prog rock, early 70s, this kind of psychedelia,
okay.
fantasy. I don't know how do you call it, that kind of artwork, but it's fantasy for sure. And well, I think I gave him like a setting, space, foreign planet, have there some bright colors, bright stars, twinkling stars, and some bright lights and bubbles and
monsters.
this kind of.
Yeah, it turned out.
Yeah,
really
I
good.
wasn't asking for monsters. I think I was asking for snakes probably, but
Yeah.
I'm glad that those things don't look exactly snakes. They could be almost anything. Could be
Yeah.
you or you. Or
By
you.
the way, is that correct that the European pressing, the cover is more like yellowish and
It's
the US
pink,
pressing is
pink
green?
yellow. It's a different coloring. He did two times the piece with like a pen, and then he colored two different versions. One is that Black Water and one is Agipunk. That's an Italian label who's been releasing some stuff for us as well as supporting us quite a lot over the years at one stage.
That's
Great.
awesome.
Well, thank you guys again. This was great. I appreciate it. And I'll send you the link as soon as we get the review up, I swear.
The sounds of decay!
This is Horror with Cursed Creation. I took a belly dancing class once. I followed the instructor's shimmies and felt like I was doing okay. She increased her hip cadence, and I upped my game, forcing things to move a little faster, feeling glad that I was pretty much able to keep up. Suddenly, she threw it into overdrive, and her hips were literally a blur.
Wish I could have been there.
Sadly, I found that I lacked such a high-velocity gear. Horror, however, does not. They easily find a similar turbo button here, producing the kind of jaw-dropping, brutal speed and sheer brutality found in this first full length for this three-piece, originally from Israel, now relocated to Berlin. These 8 tracks, most in the 3 to 5 minute range, are an all-out pummel fest with all the subtlety of Attila the Hun.
The opening track, aptly named Submerged in Cacophony, starts with some glitchy noise, static for a few seconds before being immersed into a deluge of roars, howls, ludicrous speed drums of Asaf Maiden, and frantic riffs of Daniel Attai that spiral around the listener in a whirlpool vortex. The vocals of Ofek Sadai are low guttural grunt to growl, pulled from the deepest circle of hell. There's a brief, bright solo that sings out before the torrent returns to swallow it up again. A similar solo shines in Chronicide, like a fish glinting in the sunlight for a moment before descending back under the waves. In Curse Creation, the deep, dense riffs of Attai create an atmospheric screech like the hum of a live wire, which evolves into an oscillating minor chord refrain. Maiden's blast beats are full steam ahead in 3 quickly repeated stab-like beats. Rim abuse adds to the clamor, while the vocals are a deep tonsil yawn howl. The guitar wails out some staccato plaintive notes, while She Chat, 7 Hells of Defilement, has drums faster than the heart of a scared rabbit, riffs ending each stanza in a squall, with Sadai's vocals thick like Hassan Pfeffer in a roiling boil.
I think my favorite track is Poisonous Entity, with possibly the most feral riffing, that oscillating black metal climb the rope tones that seem to accelerate out and back again. Maiden's are an infernal, pulsing, constant blast, dropping into doomy tempo, change, and back. Attai's guitars are shrieking viola leads that vacillate over the tumult, while Sadi's deep snarls seem to be conjuring up a spell. The band noted that they chose the cover art from Tim Greco because of his ability to create multi-layered textures which are intense and evil. I think this description also fits the songs on display here, steeped in chaos with more layers, stratified like the mountains that the band's name translates from in Hebrew. Fans of Incantation will be more than happy in the mega vortex world of horror.
Okay, this song is called Curse Creation. Sounds of Decay 2 is the new album from Sadness, Your Perfect Hands and My Repeated Words. Now, admittedly, black gaze is not normally my thing. If I want cold and moody, I'll just watch our ginger cat try to snowboard. But seriously, folks, we sort of flipped that lid a couple years back when Son of Jokai, the Island album, made our year-end list, along with good stuff from White Ward and a few others. One of the genre's true masters is multi-instrumentalist Damien Anton Ojeda, the Mexican-born Illinois native. According to the Metal Archives, he relocated to Texas recently. I don't know if that's true or not. But he has been Zappa-level prolific, cranking out something like 22 full-length albums and a gaggle of splits and singles along the way.
Releases like 2019, I Want to Be There quickly became the stuff of legend, conjuring massive walls of sound and dramatic shoegazy crescendos that pull the listener in one direction after another, with children's choirs and walls of orchestrated synths, punctuated with ambient interludes. Incredible stuff for the more open-minded rock or metal fan, and proof that it doesn't have to be all skulls, sluts, and Satan. Well, maybe 95% of the time, but I digress. His latest EP is Your Perfect Hands and My Repeated Words. I'm confused about how a 54-minute record is considered an EP, but what the heck do I know? 5 cuts, all about 10 minutes in length. So get your comfy beanbag chair out for this one. The soundscapes are as lush as ever. Endless layers of synths and a sort of lo-fi drum style accentuate Ojeda's powerful, squeaky clean vocals for an overall vibe that's more in the vein of Slow Dive or My Bloody Valentine than Death Haven.
Pink Clouds is a collaboration featuring dreamy vocals from the equally prolific black gaze artist Meredith Salvatore. This may be the high point of the disc, a rollicking beat weaving high drama against bittersweet wall of sound noise that trails off about halfway through the track and slowly blinks its way back to marvelous effect, vocal and instrumental hooks building deliciously. Spring Flashes is another scrumptious nugget, guitars chiming their melancholy message against the soaring vocals of guest Lydian Brambilla, who apparently works as a librarian at the University of Georgia, according to Metal Archives. I could listen to stuff all day. Each listen reveals another layer of hooks, another cool vocal sidebar, or scoop of ambience to climb into. Fans of stuff like Thy Catafalque need to dive into this man's discography post-haste. Check this out. The song is Pink Clouds. Sounds of Decay 3 is the new album from Volus, Merciful, The Dying Light. Our second prolific one-man outfit of the day comes from Spartansburg, South Carolina, a town that is incidentally named after the Spartan regiment who helped win the pivotal battle of Cowpens in the Revolutionary War. But I digress. Merciful, The Dying Light is the 4th full-length from Volus, the pet project of one Justin Volus, whom Metal Archives lists as active in no less than 11 bands. Active. Including this one. Do these people ever leave the house? He also runs his own label that this album's on, Vargeist Records. So the short album consists of 7 songs, mostly in the 3 to 4 minute range. Volus has bleak lyrics of eternal suffering and grief delivered through an uber guttural delivery. The slower paced riffing is like a combination of Asphyx and Cannibal Corpse with flashes of Portal adjacent fits of speed to keep things interesting.
When Volus bears down on a real crusher's riff, he's at his best. For example, about halfway through Blasphemy's Internal Strife, he gets a hold of a real winner. Power chords bordering on the atonal and sounding glorious against the ticking percussion and his marvelously barbaric vocals. Some of the best grunting I've heard since last year's football season ended. I have to admit that the slow, crawling up Golgotha riffing on this thing is what really gets me. Vengeance of Blood.
It's Revengeance of Blood.
Oh, that's sorry.
Spellcheck hates it. He made his own word. Spellcheck is like, this is not a word. Isn't it, bitch? You know.
Revengeance of Blood starts off on such a doomy lurch. The whole thing is right on the verge of falling apart any moment. plus vomiting in a glorious and completely incomprehensible manner, crushing to the nth degree. The final track, Between Two Fires, is also worth mentioning. The disc's longest cut at 6+ minutes crawls in and out of black metal riffing and a highly impressive percussive workout with our hero, stutter stepping, blast beating, and showing off massive tom rolls at various intervals.
This is ugly music. I mean, if you're looking for female accompaniment, woodwinds in the woods, or synthesizers, look elsewhere. But for fans of the gurgliest black and oral slime, I'd recommend you let this young man kick you in the face for half an hour. It's great.
This is Crowns of Ulthir.
Yay, we did it. Talked about the genius of Looney Tunes.
Yeah, but we forgot.
What?
The big chicken.
Oh, Foghorn Leghorn?
Yeah, Foghorn Leghorn.
He's okay.
Yeah, I always liked his kind of southern, like, remember the lady with the ducks who had their baby in a puddle, and she's like, "What is wrong with you?" Yeah, kind of reminds me of that. Kind of that disparaging.
I just remember the
southern
one where he found the old maid that fell in
Okay.
love with him. And she was clubbing down men or clubbing down roosters and she goes, what's the line he says? He goes, you got it all wrong. You don't bat him on the bean with a rolling pin. That comes after marriage. Something like that. Yeah. We talked about the odd life of the magician.
Yeah.
Strange way to go.
Remember Baby Reindeer when they had that guy that was a horrible magician and he tried to do comedy with it? And it was
Oh,
both
yeah,
horrible.
that's
And he
right.
kept having to put all his exploded tricks back in the bag. It was rather.
When you are
discouraging.
setting up a trick and you have to wonder, well, where's my urine go? I think
Yeah.
that's when you're in a weird area. This has been the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast. Special thanks to the Ottos from Forca Macabra for appearing on the show. Snaggletooth theme by Gustav Jord of Defleshed. Sounds of Decay theme by Steve Rathbone of Lair of the Minotaur. Season 3 artwork courtesy of KC Angel. Sounds of Decay Bands featured this week. Check them out. Sadness, Bolus, and Horror. All content 2024, the Snaggletooth Decay Extreme Music Podcast.
All right, for the next trick, I'm going to put these 2 raw eggs into a hat, wave my wand, and produce a woodland creature.
This is the Snaggletooth Extreme Metal Podcast.